Sitting with me today, we have Eddie Mizrahi, who is President and Chief Executive Officer of Paris-based Apax Mid-Market. The firm specialises in certain sectors: consumer and retail, healthcare, TMT and services. Eddie, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us here today. Apax has 40 years of experience of investing in mid-market companies in France and in French-speaking European countries. Over that time, you've witnessed all sorts of transformations, political, economic, and commercial. If you had to single out any one transformation that you think is of the greatest importance and has the biggest impact on your portfolio companies, what would that be?
Right now, the biggest transformation in the industry for mid-sized companies is clearly the digital transformation of their business. And today we are looking to invest in companies where digital transformation has a potential to significantly create value for our LPs.
And what do you mean by digital transformation? Because it covers an enormous number of different areas, doesn't it?
Yes, as you know, we are sector focused, and obviously digital transformation means different things into different sectors. In retail, for example, what people call the customer journey, the customer experience, has to become flawlessly digital. Let's say, TMT, in telecom operators, for example, the use of big data allows operators to both improve churn, meaning losing less customers, but also increasing revenue per users. In healthcare, digital transformation means that patients are becoming more and more connected, and that may change the way doctors deliver care to patients. And finally, in, let's say, financial services or services in general, digital transformation is more a question of building platforms, really technology platforms, from which a variety of services can be offered to customers.
And do you think that digital transformation has the same amount of effect in each of the different sectors? Or are they at different stages in their development? And do you think there's more to go in certain sectors than in others?
Clearly, there is a major difference, but not so much between sectors than between companies. If you take the maritime industry, for example, today, it's a very non-digital business. And it is undergoing two very fundamental trends. You have a move from narrowband communications to broadband communications, and at the same time you have a move towards digital ships, the way people talk about digital cars, but this is the same in the maritime industry. These two trends are creating a very significant opportunity to change the nature of the business. You can bring new types of services on board the ships, e-learning for the crews, instant messaging, telemedicine, simply because broadband communications allow for the development of much more sophisticated services. And at the same time, you can improve the operations of the, let's say, the ship company by optimizing navigation routes, optimizing the use of people on the boat, etc., etc.
The potential capital expenditure that you're talking about for something like this sounds really quite large. Is that the case? Not just for the shipping example, but for your portfolio companies in general?
No, in fact, it isn't. Technology today is readily available at reasonable prices. And when you launch digital transformation, companies benefit from significant productivity gains and, in many cases, increased revenues and therefore increased margins. The biggest cost of that change is really the transformation and the ability to train and embark your employees into a complete change in the processes of the company. It takes time, and really in the end, it is more about change management than about CapEx.
So really, here you're talking about mentality and the attitude of the companies. If the technology is actually accessible in terms of both cost and availability, that really begs the question about where are the investment drivers for you as a firm in digital transformation?
The reality is that mid-sized companies are very far behind in terms of digital transformation. Early in 2017, we published a barometer with EY, one of our partners, to assess the degree of digitalization of mid-sized companies in France. And the findings were very significant. It highlighted, for example, that a CEO's willingness to embark into a digital transformation was a key, the number one success factor in such a transformation. Another finding, for example, was that actually the size of the company does not matter. Smaller companies can be more digitally advanced than larger companies. We also found it very interesting that many CEOs actually don't understand the difference between a chief digital officer and an IT manager. While, as I mentioned, change management doesn't have anything to do with IT. IT is a facilitator, but it's all about change management.
I suppose it must affect how you look at new investment opportunities and how you source the deals as well. Maybe you can tell me a little bit about that.
Definitely, I can point to many opportunities that we turned down because we didn't feel that management was sufficiently, let's say, motivated to embark into a several-year digital transformation plan. One of the things we do, for example, today systematically is to perform a digital audit of any company we invest in very early in the life of the investment in order to agree with management what are the key priorities for the next 2-3 years. Do you want to invest in digital transformation to simply digitize your internal processes, which leads to productivity gains? Or do you want to improve your customer relationship management, which is a different subject? Do you want to use big data to increase your revenues? Or, as I mentioned in the telecom case, reduce your churn, increase your revenue per user, etc., etc. So that's what we do in a systematic fashion today.
Well, Eddie, this has been a very thought-provoking conversation. Thank you very much. You've taken the whole universe of digital transformation, which is a huge challenge and an opportunity for businesses, and particularly in the mid-market.
Thank you.